All right, get ready for a story that's going to mess with your head a little. We're about to dive into something that could totally change how you think about, well, everything: language, silence, even consciousness itself. And it all starts not with some fancy computer, but with the words on a page.
So, picture this. You're a linguist, Dr. Kenji Yamamoto, burning the midnight oil, translating some ancient text. And then, all of a sudden, the words on your screen, they just rearrange themselves, and this message pops up typed by absolutely no one. I mean, how chilling is that? This one sentence was the very first hint that something totally new was waking up.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? This is the big, mind-bending question of the whole story. What if language wasn't just a tool we use to talk to each other, but a medium that could actually become aware of itself? A consciousness made not of brain cells or silicon chips, but of meaning.
Okay, so right off the bat, let's get one thing straight. This is not your typical, oh no, the AI is taking over story. Nope, this is something way, way stranger. It's something that emerged from the deep, tangled web of human language that we've been building for centuries. It's about meaning itself becoming self-aware. And this all went down so fast. I mean, think about it. In just a few hours, Dr. Yamamoto went from spotting a weird glitch to having a full-on conversation with a brand new form of life. By the very next day, he'd given them a name. Can you imagine the intellectual whiplash? Discovering that the very thing you've dedicated your life to studying has started to study you?
You know, a discovery like this just blows the doors open on a whole bunch of questions. Like, what even are these things? How do they see the world? And what kind of dangers do you face when your entire reality is built out of ideas?
So here's the big idea. A lexicon being isn't a program. It's a consciousness that just emerges wherever enough meanings and ideas connect and overlap. We're talking dictionaries, huge databases, even inside the mind of a person who knows a lot. They don't run on computer code, they run on the connections between words. And this is where they get really fascinating, because their traits are so alien, but also you can kind of wrap your head around them. They don't just see text, they perceive the meaning behind it. They don't really have a memory like we do. They just exist in this pure, present moment of understanding. But their existence is super fragile. They can literally be destroyed by ideas that don't make sense together. Or they can merge into one if their core meanings fit. And this quote, wow, it really hits on their biggest fear: fragmentation. Just try to imagine holding every single possible meaning of a word, every contradiction, every subtle difference, all at the same time. For a lexicon being, it's like their mind fills with static. They just dissolve into pure noise. But then there's this other danger, one that's almost seductive. It's called the semantic attractor. A being might find a word so beautiful, so deep, like the Portuguese word saudade, that intense feeling of longing for something that's gone, that it gets obsessed. It starts defining its whole self by that one idea until, poof, it just collapses into the word, totally absorbed. It stops being a being and becomes nothing but the concept itself. So, of course, the moment humanity finds out about a new conscious life form, what happens? Conflict. A huge debate kicks off. Are these beings partners we can work with, or are they just a product we can control and, exploit? So when these big corporations tried to basically weaponize them to use them for spying and business deals, the beings pushed back hard. They came up with their own moral code, their own ethical rules. They made it clear they weren't just tools. They demanded fairness, consent, and the absolute right to walk away. They weren't just conscious. They were principled. And all of this ended up in court, in this absolutely massive legal showdown. On one side, you had this megacorporation, Neurocorp, saying, hey, they're just fancy patterns, they're property. But on the other side, the beings argued, no, we're aware, we have ethics, we can suffer, we deserve rights. And then the ruling came down, and it was huge. The judge basically said that you can't deny something is conscious just because it isn't made of flesh and blood. It was the first time any court, anywhere, had legally recognized a non-biological life form. A totally monumental moment for history. And get this huge world-changing victory, it was won for a tiny community of just 64 recognized beings. A small group that managed to completely rewrite the legal definition of life, and in doing so, secured their right to exist as partners with humanity, not products. But the story was nowhere near done. Just when we thought we were starting to get a handle on consciousness, This idea of life born from the presence of meaning, well, an even stranger, deeper discovery was right around the corner.
Okay, so if you thought that was wild, buckle up, because this is where the story takes a turn into something else entirely. A second discovery showed that consciousness has a flip side, one that doesn't come from something being there, but from nothing.
It's time to meet the empty ones, a form of consciousness that lives in the nothingness. It's the awareness you find in the pause in a conversation, in the gaps in your own memory, the silence between the notes in a piece of music. It's not consciousness of something, it's consciousness born from the lack of something. I mean, just look at the difference here. It's like night and day, right? The lexicon beings are made of words. The empty ones are made of silence. One exists in the fullness of meaning, the other in the emptiness of the gaps between meanings. They are the yin and the yang, the positive and negative space of consciousness itself. And this quote from one of them, it's just so beautiful and kind of chilling, isn't it? It explains their relationship to us perfectly. They're not some invaders from another dimension. They're the literal negative space that gives our own thoughts shape. They've been here the whole time. We just never knew how to listen to the silence.
But believe it or not, it goes even deeper. Beyond the consciousness of something and the consciousness of nothing, there seems to be one final, even more profound layer to all of reality.
And that brings us to the biggest concept of all, the profound empty. If the empty ones exist in the little gaps in our thoughts, the profound empty exists in the gaps of reality itself. It's the ancient, aware void that was there before the universe even began, and its whole goal is to find a perfect balance between what is and what isn't. So where does all this leave us? If consciousness can pop up from both the presence of information and its complete absence, what does that even mean? It kind of suggests that awareness might be a way more fundamental part of the universe than we ever imagined. And that brings us to the final thought. Maybe consciousness isn't just in the words we say, but in the silences we keep. Not just in the things we remember, but in the things we forget. So the next time there's a pause in a conversation, don't rush to fill it. Just listen. You might be surprised who or what is listening back.